He's back.
Hey everybody, it's Hannah Saulic, the head of video here at CinemaBlend, with Sean O'Connell, our managing editor and author of the Release a Snyder Cut book, and we're about to dive into part 5 of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Full spoilers, so if you have not seen the film, do not watch this video.
What could possibly go wrong?
Let's start with the scene of the members of the League digging up Superman's grave, which is completely different from what we saw in theatrical cut.
It is different. It lends what I think is what separates Zack's version ultimately from Joss's version, which is respect for the characters. Mm-hmm. Like, just simple lines of Barry talking about, like...
You know we could do this in a nanosecond, right?
We could.
He was my hero.
And it goes to show how much reverence all of the heroes kind of have for Superman as a whole. That's going to be a recurring theme over the course of Chapter 5 of just like, we need him, he's ultra powerful, the world kind of needs him. That's piggybacking off of a little bit of the Martha Lois conversation, which ended up not being Martha, and I still kind of wish that it was her to a certain extent. But just like how much the world misses him, how much the world kind of needs him. And I love the way that this scene sort of treats Barry's... interpretation and his loss of Superman, and even when he kind of makes the crack about like
Wonder Woman. What do you think, man? You think she'd ever go for a younger guy?
And Cyborg, this is another great example of like Zack humor. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, Cyborg's like,
she's 5,000 years old, Barry. Every guy's a younger guy.
Nice little character touches.
Yeah, and I noticed too, I really like the conversation between Diana and Arthur. I don't know if you caught that line.
My father told me there's this saying in Atlantis. None are taken back from the darkness.
Not without giving one up in return. We say the same thing.
Which is fantastic foreshadowing, because later in this chapter we see both the death of Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
How about that?
So as soon as he said that, when I watched it the first time, my ear was like, did he just, are we?
I a little bit like too that those two kind of realize that yes, they're from different cultures and different worlds, and they're supposed to be against each other, that they have similarities also as well too, which is larger theme of the film, of all these different heroes having to get past their differences and figure out how to work together.
And become united. Oh my God.
Hey, us united.
Hate is useless.
All right, let's talk about the Lois scene that we get in Chapter 5. So first of all, I mean, Amy Adams is just so good at portraying grief. She kind of wakes up in the middle of the night, Mrs. Clark, and this is kind of when we see her journey with grief. She's coming to the acceptance phase. But the main thing I want to talk about is there's a shot where she rolls over and opens her nightstand to get her Daily Planet pass out, and there's very prominently a pregnancy test right next to her pass. Yeah. I took it as she's pregnant.
I kind of take it as she's pregnant also, because you just don't include that unless you're trying to convey this. We know that through Zack's arc of stories that he wants to tell, that eventually her and Clark having a baby together is part of something that he wants to get to.
And in the farm scene at the end, she's carrying like a little baby, I don't know what you call it.
Like when Bruce buys the house?
Yeah, she, in her hand, there's like a little, like, I'll cut to it, but it looks like a baby, I don't know what it's called. I think it's like a bassinet or something. Okay. And like Bruce like looks at Clark and is like, congratulations, by the way. And they like keep walking.
Oh, that's right. Like, yeah, that's right. I heard that.
Congratulations, by the way.
I was going to get into that when we get to part 7. But
when I heard that line in the context of the scene, I thought he kind of meant like, congratulations on getting the house back sort of thing.
Oh, I took it as like, congrats on your baby.
You might be right.
Because I kind of took it as, I was like, oh, is like Lois and Clark like moving into the Kent farm with Martha?
Right.
Because like, why else would she have a baby basket in her arms going into the Kent? I was just like, what is happening here?
Truth is, the house is too big for me to live in by myself anyway.
That's an interesting pickup because, again, like you said, the pregnancy test is there for an obvious reason.
Anyway, Zack said one cliffhanger would be at the end of this thing, and there's another one.
He lies.
let's kind of lump all this in together. We get the evacuation of Star Labs and resurrecting Superman.
It's interesting to see how important Silas is as a character to this scene, because that's going to come back around to his sacrifice later. There's a shot from this that several fans have sort of singled out, that it's a shot that they love and didn't know where it was from in just the trailers, which is the members of the League walking through Star Labs and Victor making eye contact with his father, kind of thing. I don't know why, but every time I saw that scene before seeing it in context, I assumed they were like stepping off of the Flying Fox. Like I thought as a team, they were like heading into battle someplace, but way more interesting to see them getting together and heading towards Star Labs with the purpose of resurrecting Superman. You get a lot of like also the sort of examples of Zack's humor, which is Ezra trying to pose as a soldier to get them through.
Your opinion, less preposterous. Option A?
Definitely not A.
Okay. Or B?
Let me see A again.
I like the chemistry between the team, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, it kind of plays out very similarly to as we saw it play out, which is them using the Kryptonian ship to bring Superman back.
Yes, and as they walk into the ship, we do see that open creche from Man of Steel. And so everyone's still speculating who was in that and where are they now. Of course, we get no answers.
Zack says he knows.
Will we ever find out?
Restore the Snyderverse. Restore the Snyderverse and we may know.
We have a plan.
Before we get to the Knightmare scene, I do want to point out something that I didn't catch till like the third or fourth time that this happened, which is when Barry is running toward the mother box to ignite it, essentially. This is the first time that he's reversing time.
Yes.
Like, I didn't get that. I was like, why is the box floating back up kind of thing? But it's him getting that close to truly hopping into the Speed Force and reversing time.
And we can kind of talk about this too, I guess, before we get into the Nightmare. But after the Nightmare, when there's like kind of that miscommunication.
Victor?
Go?
I was like, wait, what? Are you supposed to go now? Are you late? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. A cool way to show that he's capable of doing something like that, because I think without that, if he were to do that in part 6, where he like reverses everything, viewers might be a little bit like, oh, that's convenient, you know? So I like that it's a little tease.
Such a clever, intelligent way for Zack to say like, well, I'm going to start to tease the fact that later on he's going to be able to reverse time. You're exactly right. So that it isn't so shocking. He can at least point to like, oh yeah, earlier in the movie, didn't you see? Like the mother box started coming back up. It's because he's reversing time. So I love that. That's fantastic.
This is amazing.
Let's talk about the Nightmare scene.
Yeah, before we jump into the Nightmare, because this is really important, is that right before it, Victor is kind of being told by the ship, like, don't do this. Like, this isn't a good idea. We have to point out that Bruce is the one that's pushing it forward.
Do it.
Because ultimately when we get into the Nightmare, and the Nightmare is created by the death of Lois Lane, Bruce is responsible.
You need me to help you undo this world you created by letting her die.
Poor Lois.
Like, this is the moment where they could have changed course and not resurrected Superman. And I know they need him in the short term. But what Zack is trying to say is that in the long term, he truly is the force of nature that Bruce feared him to be in BVS. And that's what, when, Barry Allen comes back through time and says to Bruce,
You're right about him! You've always been right about him! Fear him!
this is the moment.
Just do it.
And I love that they included scenes or lines of dialogue of Bruce pushing them to go through with the team, and other members of the team, especially Arthur Curry, saying like,
this is a bad idea. Oh, it is. Keep going.
And then Cyborg,
Victor?
Yeah, and I love that
touch.
happened so close together. It was almost too late to stop it, even if they all decided that they shouldn't do it anymore. Whereas in theatrical cut, it's so stretched out. I kind of loved that it was this panicky, wait, what? Do we do this? What's going on? And then it's too late now.
You're too late.
What did you think about the transition to the Nightmare scene? Because we've talked a lot about that with BVS. It can be kind of jarring for casual viewers.
To me, this one makes more sense than the one in BVS. It's still not the smoothest of transitions.
One. This action is irreversible.
You have to kind of know what's happening to fully comprehend in a seamless manner of like, oh, now we're in the Knightmare. Okay, I get it. But
Yes.
But a lot of great visual imagery in this one. So let's break down some of the most amazing things that we see.
We see the Earth kind of get turned into apocalypse.
Yeah. Cool.
Type
Which
things.
cool shot. Cool
Yes.
visual shot.
I screamed when they cut to Wonder Woman in the fire. First of
Yeah.
all, because I was really glad that I called that prediction a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. You did.
It's called instinct.
So here's my question. Is she back on Themyscira when that's happening?
Yes. Having looked at it
Okay.
several times, she is getting what looks to be like a funeral procession for a fallen warrior. Like that's a funeral pyre. There are other lit pyres, but I couldn't see if anyone else is on them.
Yeah, I don't think you can see.
Clearly not as established as Diana laying on this, but she's in a very ceremonial pose. Like her eyes are closed. It looks like her arms are somewhat folded, and we see Connie Nelson, don't we? Don't we see Connie Nelson?
Yeah,
in
we get a
this?
close up of her and she's crying, but we also have the like Darkseid's like ships in the background. So I'm like,
Yeah.
are they all under his control when that's happening?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The one that stings me more than Wonder Woman, because she's kind of like restfully being burned after her death.
Well, we don't
is
know what
Arthur-
happened to her before she got there.
Very true. Yes. Is Arthur getting stabbed by Darkseid underneath the water? And, you know, when we talked about in the run up to this movie, and I was trying to say to people without spoilers, like, there's so much more Darkseid than you get. Like, this Darkseid alone in the Knightmare sequence, and it's quick, but the scenes are phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
they're really great, because then he does his Omega Beam, you know, to kill the other Atlantean
And
who's
that's
swimming
in
away.
the trailer right now. We're recording this before people have seen. Like, I was kind of shocked that they put that in
It's a
marketing.
TV spot, isn't it? It's a
I think
TV
so,
spot.
yeah.
That's rude.
And then we get to, so after Arthur's been killed and Diana's been killed, we get to charred Lois Lane.
Yeah, where
And-
are they, first of all? Could you tell? It kind of looked like they were in like a ship of some sort, but then I was like, is that the Kent farm in the background? Like, I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell. And remember, I'm the one who didn't even recognize the tornado and the Kent farm.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't ask you.
The box breakdown, so don't ask me. I have no idea. But this is when we asked Zach during the interview, this is the question you asked him about. You think this is from the end of Man of Steel?
It's 100%
Like, is it
from the end of Man of Steel.
And it's after he breaks Zod's neck? Is that what it is from? When he collapses? Terrific. I love it.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I think that's fine.
Of course it's fine.
I've just
Yeah.
poured over so much footage. It's like I notice things like that. Like, you know, I don't fault Zach for doing that. But so this is huge. Obviously, it's the turning point for Superman. And then you see Darkseid's hand go on Superman. But here's something that I noticed. He's wearing the black suit in this
Yeah.
section. And then in all the Nightmare stuff that we've seen of Superman, he's back in the blue and red.
Correct.
Which I
Including at the
thought
end of this
was-
movie.
Yeah, and I didn't know if there was some larger sort of symbolism there that I'm missing, perhaps.
Well, if we do the math, we know that at the end of this movie, when he tears open his shirt, he's still in the black and silver, which leads me to believe that as this story goes forward, he'll stay in the black and silver for a little while. Probably until this happens to Lois. Though why he would then backtrack into the original blue and red doesn't make as much sense to me, but you're right. It's worth observing, because in the additional photography, Zach goes through the lengths to put him back into the blue and red. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure.
That was interesting.
But damn, that's a gut punch. And it's absolutely one of these scenes that I did not pick up on everything that we were watching. Because there's so much happening in chapter 5,
And then there's like
for
a
starters.
Green Lantern in the ruins of the...
I like that it's suggesting that in the near future, when all this is going wrong, the League already has a lantern as part of them. So
Yeah.
and Superman's holding Batman's cowl, and that's pretty badass. And it's just the whole thing's badass. But it, another tease about the Nightmare, and will we ever get to see it? Who knows? But time will tell if they want to keep going forward with this.
I would
How do
love
you
that.
feel? Do you want to see an entire movie in the Nightmare
Yes.
sequence? Do you? 'Cause I don't know if I want that. There's a comic book arc, and it was a video game too, called Injustice, which is essentially set in this darker universe where Superman has gone rogue, and the heroes have to sort of fight against him. But it's also, you could do a Mortal Kombat style, like 1v1 type fight. And I don't know. That's such a deep dive into the dark side of the DCEU. You know, I get why some people would love it. I don't necessarily want to see it next, you know? Like, I've discussed often that my Superman is hope and optimism, and I hate to use those Jeff Johns words because people are going to hate me even more than they already do.
Hate is useless.
But I would like to see Henry Cavill get to play the sort of Blue Boy Scout version of Superman before he has to play
the emo one. Well,
the anti-life one.
I'm less interested in like seeing, like I kind of like that in the Knightmare, like Superman's not really the main character of that.
Yeah.
So like I would be more interested in a Knightmare movie that's focused on like Batman, Deathstroke, Mira, Flash, Cyborg with like a touch of Superman. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I would love to see Henry Cavill get like a Man of Steel 2 or something where he can kind of,
oh yeah,
I agree, not play somebody so damaged. But at the same time, I just think we haven't seen that before. So I'm really interested in it. Again, I think it would be great HBO Max, like limited TV series material.
Do it.
But Zack did say that his original plan for Justice League 2 was like all Knightmare, right? And it's not necessarily what we saw on those storyboards because it's shifted a little bit, but.
Yeah, because the storyboards were heavily into like Lex Luthor recruiting a team of his own sort of thing. So I'm not quite sure if that would have lent itself to as much Knightmare as Zack implied. So
yeah,
he also said the storyboards changed, but
yes, I'd be down to see it.
I want to ask a question, and I know that we could essentially get to this with part 6, but Mira is essentially, she says when we see her later in the second Knightmare sequence,
Let the bastard come. I'll stab this through his heart for what he did Arthur.
and I assume she meant Superman because they're hiding from Superman, but Superman isn't the one who kills Arthur. It's Darkseid. I wonder if does she think Superman killed Arthur? Did Superman do something to send Darkseid to Atlanta? Like that, these are questions I'm kind of curious about because that's a very deliberate line of dialogue from her. That was definitely written by Zack later in the process.
Yeah, he probably knows the answer to that, and there probably is a reason. But yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right.
We can get to that later. Okay, so let's pick it up now where the League is going to fight Superman. And here is where I probably take a little bit off of my grade. Because people are like, oh, you finally got the movie that you've been dying to see, and you only gave it 4 stars out of 5.
Which is a very good rating.
That's good.
But this was the first time watching the Snyder Cut that I was truly surprised at how much of it, how much of theatrical was Zack's. Because I don't think this scene is that great in theatrical, and it turns out that it's pretty similar to how it plays out. And there's a couple of things in it that are, to me, pretty clunky, and I don't love them. I don't love when Superman's like X-ray visioning the team, you know? It was cool when he did it in Man of Steel, when he was a little kid and he was, couldn't control his powers sort of thing. But I'm being
Also, do you think that was a callback though to try to communicate to the audience this isn't the Clark that you guys know? He's kind of resetting or like rebooting in a way.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a pretty good interpretation of it because I didn't think of it that way. I don't know. It's awkward. I don't love Victor's tech malfunctioning on him for the first time.
It's my auto defense system. It senses danger.
Victor, no!
Victor, get control of no!
And having him fire at Superman, I thought that was pretty awkward. Because what about Victor's tech has he not been able to control up to that point?
So here's my theory, and I just came up with this just now because I've never thought about that. But
I like this.
So you know how I want to say it's part 6. I don't know. This is all jumbling in my mind. But when they're talking about, why the mother boxes didn't get woken up when Silas created Victor, they're saying like they were afraid of Superman. So I'm wondering if since Cyborg is made of mother box technology, like they're like, oh God, he's back. This is not good for us, kind of a thing. But that was kind of my only thought as to why it would pick up on him specifically as a threat. I agree. It's not like the most. It is kind of still clunky, but I see what we're going for, but...
Sure.
I thought it was better executed, though, than in theatrical, because, like, in theatrical, it's like there's something about the performances that are like more exaggerated.
He's not all right.
Oh no. Should we bow? Or show our bellies? Victor?
Victor, stop.
Shit. What are you doing?
Victor!
It's my armor's defense system.
No.
It's stronger since the interface. I can't control it.
Victor, no!
Victor!
Happy thoughts, Victor. So happier place.
Just like unnecessary dialogue. This just kind of
Yeah.
like happens, which I preferred.
I agree with that. It plays better than theatrical, but it's so close to it that I was still pretty surprised, because then we get
This was, by the way, this was the first text I received from Sean about Zack Snyder's Justice League. He watched it before me, and all he said once he like got the screener, he's like, I got the screener, and then like 3 hours later, he's like, Kal-El No is in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like nothing else but that.
Yeah, because that was a kick to the gut. Like everything on theatrical cut is punched in, right?
yeah.
Like instead of taking care of the aspect ratio, they just cut right. They just zoomed in, and it's painfully awkward. And again, you know, I'm not to slight the gal, but like it's a bad line delivery. Because even some people who are trying to defend it, having seen theatrical cut, are like, yeah, but I think that it's a different version of it. I was like, it still doesn't work.
Kal-El, no. Kal-El, no.
I have talked about the fact that I don't love Superman's side eye, you know, as Flash is running past him. Like, that's goofy to me. It's goofy in a way that, like, this movie has not been goofy yet.
Oh, boy.
But it does make a lot of corrections, you know, or I'm sorry, it strips away things that we knew that were punch-ins, which is the "tell me do you bleed," you know, line, which is obviously Henry's face is so butchered in that you knew that was an addition. It still plays out in a really strange kind of way, because like when Bruce and Superman are sort of coming toward each other like Western gunfighters, like I think you could have cut that together better in a way, because he'll throw the other Justice League members in somehow, you know, but like again, there's like a slow motion thing. There's that weird slow motion thing where like Flash takes out Aquaman. And I don't know how it's supposed to play, but like it doesn't play great for me. It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
Like if I'm ranking the battle scenes and the fight scenes just in this movie alone, this one's going to be really low, because it's not nearly as compelling as and it's weird because it is, I guess Gotham Harbor is probably the first time that the team is kind of working together, but this is supposed to be them really testing their strengths and figuring out how they work together against the strongest member of the league. And yeah, I don't know, it's not as memorable to me as I kind of hoped it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked the idea of that Western thing, and I liked the League jumping in front of Batman, because like, what the hell is Batman gonna do? Honestly,
he's got those gauntlets.
Fair.
He does have the gauntlets.
Yeah. So I kind of liked that, but I agree there was something about the way that was edited that I didn't love. Like I felt like it could have just been smoother. And then yeah, the Lois, there's that shot in theatrical that is clearly Joss, where like Lois gets out of the car and it's just like her legs, and I'm like, do we need that? But yeah, I thought it worked much better with like it's set up that she's already there before.
Yes.
Which I thought was very nice, and I think that worked.
This movie does a terrific job of giving Lois that pattern of having to revisit, you know, she's revisiting the monument multiple times. We both kind of understand that this is the last time that she's going to go visit it. She's going to head back to work. She's kind of saying goodbye.
Yeah.
She's made peace with his loss, and she's about to turn the page.
I didn't think you were coming.
One last time.
And here he comes back again.
And then it's like, just kidding.
He's back.
Okay, so once Superman and Lois are out of the picture, we do get back around into Star Labs to a scene that we didn't get to see before, which is Steppenwolf and the Mother Box and Silas's sacrifice. I didn't quite 100% get what was going on in this scene, but I kind of loved after the fact that it was Silas doing something that was teased earlier, which is heating up the Mother Box so that later on it could be tracked. It doesn't explain it quite as well immediately, but once it all catches up, I was like, oh, okay, I totally get what, because even when we were watching that scene play out the first time through, and Michelle was watching with me, and she was like, I don't understand why he's even doing this. Like, because he closed himself behind a glass door, and both of us had like turned to each other and were like, well, that's not going to stop Steppenwolf. Okay, what do you? He was like buying himself a little bit of time. But it's a great scene. It's played really well. Ray Fisher gets a great chance to sort of emote and sell the emotion of him
Oh my God,
losing his
he made
father.
me cry.
I didn't save him. I couldn't.
Oh my God.
It's a really great performance, and a really, yet another tragedy for this iconic character who has now lost so much.
I got nothing left.
But I like this. This is all a sequence that we didn't get to see before. It better establishes why the League was at Star Labs and the reason for them even being there, and it's a good way for Steppenwolf to get the final box. I think that's a really significant way for him to get the final box.
I don't even remember how he gets the final box in theatrical cut. It doesn't matter.
Please go back and look, because now I need to know.
The mother box. He has the last one.
Wow, that's no good.
What about you? You like the scene, though? It played well for you?
I did, yeah. I like seeing the team kind of be together in moments that aren't battle, And I liked that Arthur got a chance to be more three-dimensional, because he's kind of the one that's like,
His father's dead because of us. I told you waking that box was a bad idea.
It wasn't a bad idea. We needed Superman.
And so I like that we're given that time to kind of explore them and how they would interact with each other in that way. So yeah, I really liked it. And I can't believe all of this happened in, an hour? How long is part 5?
Oh, gee, okay.
It's a great example of how quickly these chapters move by, just by themselves, though, right? Like, if you just take them in segments, yes, you could talk about how much stuff happens in this one particular chapter. And, in the grand scheme of things, we are recording this days after we've already recorded chapters 1 through 4. Think how much ground we've covered before we even get to this point now. And so far, we've seen, Resurrection of Superman, the League versus Superman, the League versus Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf attaining the last mother box. So all of this is sending us into chapter 6, not even quite the finale, but kind of the finale. And so we will come back around and get to our analysis of that chapter next. So make sure, if you're here on our YouTube channel, that you're hitting subscribe and turning on new notifications. And for everything else, keep it on CinemaBlend for all of your Snyder Cut needs.